California professor fired after criticizing college's woke DEI protocols is now a millionaire. A conservative professor has won $2.4 million settlement from a California college that retaliated against him for complaining about its Bolshevism.
But the only mistake that this individual made is he basically took a deal for 2.4. People need to take this to trial. Because when you go to trial, there's a little thing called discovery.
Yes.
And you can literally subpoena all of the emails, all of the internal communications, people's phones that are paid for by the college. You can get all of the dirt, and you can see exactly what the thought process was going on with the people at the top making those decisions. And they don't want that.
No, they don't. Now, I do that stuff all day long. Discovery is what I do. That's my thing. That's what I'm working right now. And Pop is right for the most part, but you have to word everything correctly. You can't just say, give me all the things. It does not work like that. You have to be specific. You have to say all of the cell phones owned by these individuals. I want all of the text messages and all of the emails and all of the phone numbers called from these phones for these exact individuals.
And don't you have to have a time frame too?
Incredibly specific. Yes, you do need a time frame as well. You can't go back too far, or I'm just going to object with overly broad. You have it at this, you're outside of the time scope, so I'll kill your whole discovery. The whole, it's called an interrogatory. I'll kill your whole interrogatory just by saying overly broad because you went outside the dates of what we're talking about.
Correct.
So you've got to be very careful with scope and purpose and what the discovery question is, what the interrogatory is.
Well, thank you for that
there's
law
lesson. There's a free law lesson for you. I'm not a lawyer. I have to say this. I'm required to say this when I bring this stuff up. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I am, however, a paralegal, and I can tell you how this shit works. Carry on.
I don't know, man.
The interim school board president, Zav Dada, boy, what?
Just use the last word Z.
Yeah, penned a 19-page report accusing Garrett of an abundance of unprofessional conduct. The report alleged Garrett defended vandalism on campus by the 100-handers described as a white supremacist group, the Hecatonchers. Somebody started a group called the Hecatonchers.
Huh.
Described as a white supremacist group by the Anti-Defamation League, which means it's white guys who were tapping their Greek mythology. The Hecatonchers were 100-handed giants from Greek mythology. It's a really cool story. Look it up. I love my history. I love my mythology.
But there you go. There's the ADL.
Yep. There's the
literally
ADL right there.
Has no skin in the game.
Yep.
The only influence they have is too many people listen to their opinions. We need to stop listening to organizations like this.
We need to shut them down. You know the little faggot that runs that thing? What's his name? Greenblatt, I think. Do you know what he did before he ran the ADL?
No.
He was a bottled water salesman.
Oh, so yeah, there you go.
So he's really qualified to be doing this stuff. The salesman part, I get, that fits. Through his constant barrage of hostile comments, which intimidate and humiliate his colleagues and the district students, Garrett demonstrated an inability to adhere to professional standards in the workplace, Daddy Boy wrote in his report. Okay. We're bracing for an exceptionally long and costly administrative court hearing. Legal fees become particularly difficult as KCCD unjustly suspends my salary with dishonest allegations of immorality. This is Garrett speaking, the guy who is being sued. Please consider giving or sharing. Thank you. I think those are his kids.
So this is the plaintiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Matthew Garrett.
Yeah.
It looked from the looks of the girls, I would imagine those are his kids. Because they're very comfortable with him, and the way he's posed is the classic dad pose there.
You got to be a special kind of narcissist to hire people to take a picture like that aren't related to you, okay?
Right, exactly.
That's a whole other level of narcissism evil right there.
I would call him, I would say he's dad, and those are his daughters.
Correct.
going around counterclockwise, probably youngest to oldest. Because see the arm out there, that's the dad pose.
Yep.
Let's see here. Winning. Matthew Garrett was fired by Bakersfield College for speaking up against Bakersfield's cowboy country too.
Yeah.
For speaking up against DEI. Last year, he predicted it would cost them several $1 million. Now he's received a $2.4 million settlement. I can't stop you from making this process painful for me, et cetera, and so on and so forth. So this guy fought the DEI thing and won. Here's an example of a guy walking away with $2.4 million. So if you think you've got a DEI case out there somewhere, you might.
Yeah. Well,
and if we can start skinning them like this, it'll go away.
And listen, the more people that do this, the faster it will implode.
Yes, absolutely true.
In this professor's case, I think 2.4 was not enough.
I agree.
If it was me, I would not settle for anything less than $5 million, and they pay my legal fees.
Oh God, yes. Because we always skip legal fees.
After you get creamed with taxes, you're only going to have half of that to invest to live on for the rest of your days.
Yeah, we always skip legal fees. Interesting note, the legal fees are on the defendant. If you win the case, those legal fees don't come out of your part of the settlement. The whole thing about lawyers stealing your settlement money, I've discovered that that's not true. I used to work in corporate law where we dealt with contracts and things like that. Now I'm working in litigation where you actually are suing for large chunks of money. That money that you get from your settlement, the lawyers don't take from that. It's also the lawyer's fees charged to the defendant.
All right.
Just so you know. Because litigation lawyers get a bad rap for taking your money, and it turns out it does not work that way at all. So DEI programs in universities are being cut across the country. What does this mean for higher education? Well, you're giving me a $2.4 million check for one. Why are the unpronounceable names? Okay, you are just Y.R. Hernandez. Was just 7 months into a job as chief diversity officer at a new college of Florida when the news came. The board of trustees announced it was dissolving the DEI program office.
Well, because it's an unnecessary fucking job. We already have laws on the books against discrimination.
Yes.
And then you have the DEI people that literally their stock in trade is discrimination.
And finding new things to discriminate against.
Yeah, like microaggressions. Like what the fuck
is a microaggression?
Bullshit.
No, that is DEI is microaggressions.
Yes, is.
It's the same thing where they do something and then they accuse you of it. You've just discovered the source of microaggressions.
There you go.
Because that's all that DEI does is look for little shit to ding you on. It's microaggression.
And I'm going to be honest. If I was hiring for a company,
yes,
and you showed up, and then I looked at, oh, you graduated from such and such place. I'm going to ask you about DEI. I'm going to ask you some of those questions. Mainly, if you answer incorrectly, I'm not going to fucking hire you because I'm not going to bring somebody into my company that later on is going to cause nothing but problems, lawsuits, and issues within my own company. I'm not going to hire those people. Period.
Yeah, if you walk in and I'm doing the hiring and you come in with blue hair, a freaking big brass ring in the middle of your lip, like right here, and tattoos all the way down your arms,
you're done.
I'm not going to hire you. And I'm covered with tattoos, but I know to keep them where I can cover them with a work shirt with my sleeves rolled up.
Yep.
I've got a ton of tattoos. I was a punk rocker. We got tattoos, but I was smart enough to know that I had to look professional if I wanted a good job. So I didn't put any tattoos where I couldn't cover them up. You don't have any tattoos, do you?
No, I have no tattoos.
That's odd for a ranger.
I wanted to go, be an operator for Delta, and I was told it was
no markings. That's true.
Yeah, didn't happen. I never got any tattoos. Not a big deal.
No big deal. It's just odd for a ranger. I had never met a ranger that didn't have one tattoo or another.
Yeah, and I've never smoked marijuana, and I've never
No.
smoked cigarettes either. So, and I never dipped.
Really?
Yep.
You never dipped?
No, and then I didn't even start drinking coffee on the regular until I got out of the service. That weird?
I don't know if you can be trusted.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's an iconic thing especially in the infantry guys, the dip. You go out into the field, everybody's
yeah. Or they have the little bottles they spit in. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And it's so many guys. The situation at New College, which also did not renew the contract of its only U.S. history professor last month, didn't renew the contract of its only U.S. history professor. I would think an American university might need an American history professor.
Yep.
Isn't unique. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill banning public colleges and universities from spending money on DEI in May. Similar moves are happening across the country. Yes, because it's useless. It's a useless expense. No, I don't want my children's money spent on that.
Well, there's that, and I don't want to have people coming up and telling me how I should speak or talk or interact with people based on somebody else's fucking feelings. Feelings have zero impact on reality, and that's exactly where they should stay.
And Pop and I lived in a world where everything we did was regulated all the time.
Yes.
So you don't even get to do that little crying thing with us because we've been regulated and we know what it's like to be very tightly controlled and regulated. We don't like it.
Nope.
Unless it has a purpose. More than a dozen state legislatures have introduced or passed bills reining in DEI programs in colleges and universities, claiming the offices eat up valuable financial resources. They often have $200,000 salaries, by the way.
Yeah.
With little impact. Multiple states like North Carolina and South Carolina have introduced bills to track college DEI spending. In Virginia, Youngkin banned the teaching of inherently divisive concepts in public schools and has spoken out against equality initiatives throughout his time in office. In Ohio, a controversial bill that would, among other things, abolish diversity training requirements at colleges is also steadily moving through the state's legislative system. Why do we have to be trained in diversity? Okay, look, if you're trying to normalize something like pedophilic trans behavior, which is really happening in San Francisco, they're trying to normalize pedophilic behavior. Okay, I'm not making this up. Go look it up yourself. If you have to normalize something, guess what? It's not normal. It's freakish and most likely wrong. Even as the academic year draws to a close, these fights against diversity, equity, and inclusion are set to continue, and to some, the future of public higher education is on the line.
No, it's not. All right. Public education, or let's just be honest, any education worked perfectly fine before we had a federal government position for education.
Yes.
We figured it the fuck out at the local and state levels.
Our education system was infinitely better without the Department of Education. So the people who sent people into space, they did that math on chalkboards. I have seen numerous times, and I'll bet some of you guys in the chat will be able to back me on this, people who are like 45 and consider themselves good at math, they'll find a math book from like their grandpa's era, and they'll open it up, and they can't do the calculations in that math book without an advanced scientific calculator. And the math book is from like 1930, when there was no such thing as a calculator.
No, they had slide rules.
Okay, do you know how to work a slide rule, tough guy?
I used to know how to use one. Not anymore. But I've used the slide rule. Used the slide rule.
Yeah. That knowledge is gone, is what I'm getting at.
Correct.
That knowledge is gone. We no longer possess that level of knowledge. And it's because of the Department of Education. It's not in spite of. It's because of the Department of Education. We're being dumbed down to the lowest common denominator. Most kids coming out of high school today have the education that is only fitting for like somebody with a 75 IQ. Period.
Yep. So they're basically, they can pump gas, work a basic cash register, bring ice to the bar, and maybe sling burgers at a joint somewhere.
Or push the button on a machine on a factory floor in a
Correct.
fairly reliable manner. The average IQ for somebody who's considered slow, I think, was 90, not 50 years ago.
Yeah. Now it's like 65.
Yeah, exactly. Still, many DEI initiatives have been credited as beneficial. What? Studies have shown that college students exposed to more diversity have greater levels of cultural awareness and political participation. Neither of those things are necessary unless you're a fucking communist, you Bolshevik fuck. Sorry.
All right. So now we have to drink. He said the word. God damn it.
My bad. You're drinking your Dainty though.
I put rum in it.
Oh, okay.
But there's a difference between drinking 2 shots of rum straight or mixing it with this whole quart of water in tea.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's fair. So, college students have been exposed to more diversity of greater levels of cultural awareness and political participation. Meanwhile, scholars credit DEI policies and programs as one way to combat inequality by encouraging multiculturalism and providing resources for people from different backgrounds.
All right. First of all, the people who say there's strength in diversity don't know what they're fucking talking about.
Where's the educational value, though?
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it.
So all of this crap here is just nonsense. It's just straight nonsense because it doesn't produce anything. None of these cultural awareness, political participation, and combating inequality, how does that contribute to your degree in architecture?
Yeah.
Or finance? Where does it contribute?
Well, we had a bunch of feminists design a bridge that fell down a few years ago.
You're an istophobic.
Yeah, I know.
Those ladies knew what they were doing. They had pieces of paper that told them that they were engineers, mister.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.